Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to SP Reviews, where today we have ourselves a track by an act named BADiSUN, titled Vultures. And if we switch over to here, just with the name BADiSUN or BADiSUN, I'm pretty sure it's BADiSUN with a little I there. I'm gonna go with that. If I'm wrong, feel free to correct me. It's either BADiSUN or BADiSUN. I'm probably gonna call it BADiSUN for the point of this. If it's incorrect again, let me know in the comments. But regardless, we're gonna listen through this track from start till finish. We're gonna hear what we think. We got lyrics for this one as well, which is dope. So let's go.
This place full of vultures.
I like the overlapping vocal layers and the complexity of the harmony there with these overlapping melodic layers.
Everywhere you look, everywhere you walk, everywhere you walk, everywhere you walk. Eyes overheard, devastation can't hold back. I lie on the side, medicated till I go back. I carry on living until I get to own that. This place full of vultures stealing from your own path.
This place full of vultures stealing from your own path. Okay. I like the combination of different elements of the mix. You know, the bass, the piano, the drums, etc. The is a catchy melody there. You can follow over that, and it's nice that it disperses the various bits of context within the verse. Oh no, this is the chorus, isn't it? Yeah.
This place full of vultures stealing from your own path.
Oh, got some octave shifts in that modulation there. Nice use of time, man.
Yeah, I was there for long. She was just a piece of me. No commitment, couldn't ever show me any decency. Reasons be zero on the go. Seemingly, we can't be nothing or no more.
Melodic rapping?
Feeling me, something I could hope for. Life's a movie, I should probably wear a GoPro. Lost so many memories down in the abyss. They shoot you from a distance, bullets never missing.
It was nice to have the bullet foley as well there. It was nice to have the bullet foley there, just to kind of like centralize that and fill that in place. I mean, care's been put into this post-production as well, again with the pitch shifting of the low octave stuff there. It's just having little bits of zazz in there to keep the listener's attention and to show that you care about it from like in a sense, how do I describe it? That you care about it and that you want to not allow the listener to become disengaged.
Eyes overheard, devastation can't hold back.
It's also just making sure that what you're doing to keep that attention is actually beneficial for the song at the same time, you know?
I carry on living until I get to own that. This place full of vultures stealing from your own path. This place full of vultures. The world full of vultures. Everywhere you go.
By the way, shout out to BADiSUN for putting lyrics on Spotify. Really helps. Really helps. I would recommend anyone watching this, if you're wanting to get reviews done from reviewers, to do that, because it just makes it really easy for us to follow along, you know? Especially with stuff that's kind of like rapping, for example. Especially if you're a speed rapper, there's no way in hell we're going to be able to follow along, you know, and follow attention to everything at once. So it's cool. Good to call and response with some modulated vocals.
Everywhere you walk. Yeah, they could just see all the cracks on my path. We break up and they all laugh. Ready up to back to back. Fill the spaces that I like. Round in my head, I repeat the words she said. You're crazy, you're crazy. But bad, everything I've been through. Anyone I can use, gone. Feel with time we lose. Destiny we can't choose now. Life is so mysterious. Life is so mysterious. Life is so mysterious.
So basically, it's this song about someone that's going through a breakup and everyone else is kind of laughing at them and stuff like that. And, you know, like they're really regretting the fact that they broke up. And it's just a really terrible situation where it's almost like it was self-determined and he's just kind of miserable about it, you know. He's just having a real rough time.
Eyes overheard, devastation can't hold back. I lie on the side, medicated till I go back. I carry on
the repeated vocals, or there's a second layer going around the sides of the headphones as well, panning wise, which is really cool. That might have been there before, but I've noticed it now, you know? I like the unpredictability of the piano line. I think that it's great to have arpeggios there that aren't necessarily playing the traditional major or minor triads. Oh, classy little fade out with the... a little bit of like a foley there, like a wind foley or something like that, as if it's just blowing in the wind. Because this is the conclusion of my review of this track, Vultures by BADiSUN. What I think this track is about? I think this track is about, as I mentioned before actually, someone who has just gone through a relationship breakup and she called him crazy, so I'm assuming there was some issues going on there that made the relationship less healthy than it probably should have been, and people around him are the vultures waiting for the relationship to decay and die. And that's ruthless, man. It's a brutal thing to be in a situation and to cope with, but I think it's good that we're making music about that kind of thing, because it's a real thing that can happen, man. Like everyone struggles with that sort of stuff, you know, like, because people just feel like they can have their opinions. So I think it's, you know, people will be able to relate to a track like this, and hopefully people will learn to be less judgmental and to not poke their noses in as much, you know? I think that in addition to all this, the vocals were done well. I liked the rapping and I liked the clean vocals. I liked the modulation there. There was no weak points to the singing or singer parts of it. I think that was handled well. The words came through clear in the rap sections. We did get some real speed into some of those parts of the mysterious bits, which were cool. We clearly have some experience with polish on the mic. I also really did enjoy what we had going on with the overlapping vocal layers in the chorus there. It was nice to have a lot to pay attention to and to not be patronized, so as to not only think that we could take one line at a time. It's okay for the listener to be a little bit overwhelmed by stuff, because it actually mirrors the way that the singer feels about the situation. I think that's really important to do, is to try and evoke that situation there and the thoughts swirling around their head, and they did that here. Vultures is well done. It's got a great hook, and yeah, the verse sections were done well as well. It was nice to have singing and rap be distinct between the various elements of the mix. It was great. Easy to follow along to. The note choices and melodies there were catchy as well and made sense with it, and I think they harmonized well with the piano parts as well, which were not basic. There was some sassiness in some of those intervals there, but that's okay, they handled it. I think that the track itself at 3 minutes 36 is still between that 2 to 4 minute sweet spot, so we're getting a little bit longer, but I think we made good use of that with the several verse sections and the choruses and such, and the piano parts going in and out there. It was great. No complaints about it whatsoever. I think that the floatiness of the keys was juxtaposed or contrasted nicely with the grounding of the bass and the drum parts there. We might have had some additional sort of like synth elements or pads or something like that. I think there was also like an LP-ish kind of like LP player filter on that piano as well, which made it kind of sound old-timey or nostalgic, like we were looking back at what occurred, like it was a memory. And you know, I think that's clever. There was attention paid to try and make, you know, incorporate more contemporary elements like with the bass and drums there. Even though I know 808s have been around since like the 90s and stuff like that, I more mean that they're far more common in music nowadays than they maybe were in like the early 2010s or something like that. But it's cool to have that there. And I think that we didn't oversaturate the arrangement either. The drums were easy to follow along to and made sense within the style of genre. The bass line predominantly went along with the root notes of the progression as well. And I think the reason I was more tolerant of this, despite a change in progression and despite no change in progression and theme really, is that the piano just didn't play the same chords. It went between the notes of the arpeggios, and you'd have to really just memorize it on the first take to really get bored of it, you know what I mean? So that was cool there. It was also having the vocals kind of panning over or automated panning over, and then having the sentence. You know, there was no filler in here, and I think that we made great use of the time we had. The theme itself did sound kind of sad and depressed, and kind of like it was very bittersweet and verging on melancholic about the situation, as if we just were giving up on the situation we had with this person. And I think that made sense with the story and the way that was sung, and there was a nice connection between all the various elements of the mix. The studio recording, mixing and mastering was done well. I'm really happy with the quality of the vocals. The filtering EQing was done well. Really happy with that. They nailed that. In addition to this, I think that what was done in regards to, you know, the drums, the bass, the pianos, the keys, whatever else we had in their synth parts. They were leveled well, notched well on the frequency spectrum. Things were nice and wide in the stereo field as well. We had bits of automation depending, like with the vocals and the chorus and stuff like that. But then things were also just nice and big, and it was nice and misty sounding. So it was kind of peaceful, even though it was sad, and it was very soothing to listen to in a way, despite the person's grief that they were going through. You know, it did sound like the singer was really feeling it. In this one, it was emotionally, it was believable, you know. Outside of that, I think that what we had going on with the leveling of the mix in general was well done. There was lots of modulation and bits of effects change works with the vocals to kind of get them to sound certain ways there, and little changes to the way we interpreted things, and harmonizations or modulations up or down, like vocoder meta tuning up or down. Which in certain parts nothing was really repeated to a point where it was a detriment, and yeah, it was an interesting way to spend 3.5 minutes to get to know BADiSUN a little bit better, and it was cool. I think that there was dynamic range sufficient to the recording. It was nice and loud without pumping, and this is effectively my review of Vultures by BADiSUN. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please go check out their various social medias and a Spotify page, and stay cool, stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as either help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world, and I'll catch you in the next review. Spiderhands Out.